Good morning, class and children. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, and we have English literature to continue. In our last online class, we started with the last chapter that we have in our textbook, Treasure Trove. The story was The Blue Bead, written by a very well known novelist, English novelist, and non fiction writer Nora Burke. In the story, in the opening part of it, we saw the writer describing us the features and the natures of crocodiles, and we came to know that these reptiles, these crocodiles, are very dangerous creatures. They are very tough, and look at the way how do they survive living in water. Out of many of the crocodiles that are hatched from their eggs, only a few survive. But those who get survived, they turn very dangerous uh, in their grown-up stage of life. And you saw how the skin of a crocodile is. It is nearly an inch thick skin they have in the body, and it is very hard. And you see, even if a bullet is fired on it, the bullet bounces back. Such is the toughness of the skin of the crocodile. And look at the tail portion of it. It is very, very dangerous. And we saw the two weakest parts of the crocodile as well. And these two are the underarm and the eyes, right? So along with this, uh, the author Nora Burke then told us about the bead that are normally seen in the running water, right? These beads are not exactly the beads. They are sometimes the water carries the bottle and the neck of the bottle that is rolled down since uh, since you can say a long time, and it keeps on rolling and rolling, and finally uh, it comes out like a bit, which is used by the female folk for their decorations. So that is what we saw in the opening of the story, The Blue Beard, so far. Now, what here the author has to tell more about it. So here we continue, and this is the last chapter that we are doing, and this ends our story section. We have already ended with poetry. Then we'll be left with our drama, The Merchant of Venice. So let us continue then. The second part of the story, The Blue Beard. Let's try to travel as long as we can, and if it is still to go, then we'll keep it for the next online class to continue, right? And do complete it. So let us see. So we saw till page number 94 in our last online class. So 95 and the rest, let's continue. So here we come. So these crocodiles, as you see, how do they live on, right? They live on whatever they get, right? Sometimes you see a dog that comes to the riverbank to drink water. The crocodiles pounds on them, right? And sometimes you see a duck or two. Sometimes you see a skeleton cow, a hungry cow that goes to drink water in the river side, and they fall a prey in uh, uh, the grip of the crocodiles. And you see, when the crocodiles do not get anything to eat, they also move towards the burning ghat, where the uh, dead body is cast in the water, the remaining um, unburnt, or the body which is burnt is cast in the water, and the crocodiles to feed on them, right? So such is the survival of the crocodiles in the water, right? Now what is the further part of the story? Here we go. So see, in the still noisy village above the ford, out of a mud house, the same color and the as the ground, came a little girl. Now the author is going to introduce us the protagonist of this story, who is a girl, right? A small child. So see, in the still noise village, so just near the river, right? At some distance away from the river, there is a small village. However, the village is very noisy, as said, right, with full of sound. Above the ford, ford is a shallow place, right, away from the river, out of a mud house. And the houses in this village are built out of mud. They are all kacha houses, since it is a village. The same color as the ground, came a little girl. And we see a small child who is a girl, and she is uh, brownish in color, as the color of mud says, right? She is an Indian girl. A thin, strabbling child. Strabbling means she is a very thin child, because uh, mm, the lack of food to eat. We can call it malnourished child. She is dressed in an earth colored rag. Like what the color of her skin is, so is her dress. And the dress is also torn. Right? She is wearing the rag cloth. She had torn the rag in two to make skirt and sari. So what she has done? She has torn the rag into two parts, and she has made one the skirt and the other sari. This is what she wears, right? Sibia was eating the last of her meal. And who this girl is, who this child is? She is Sibia. Sibia is the name of the child in the story, who is the protagonist, who is the main character. She was eating the last of her meal, so she was eating her meal. And what is a meal? Chapati wrapped around a smear of green chili and rancid butter. So she has a chapati to eat, where she has wrapped, right, a smear of green chili, okay, and rancid butter. Rancid butter means it has a very strong, unpleasant smell of butter. She has wrapped on that uh, chapati, right, with green chili, and she is now munching it. And she divided this also to make it seem more, and bit it, showing straight white teeth. And she has divided the single chapati into two halves, so that, right, it seems more. When you look at it, you see two of it, right? As you see a whole of a chapati and call it one. Now you see, and bit it, and she was eating. And when she was eating, right, she was showing her teeth. She had whitish teeth, right? So she is a small, poor child who lives in this noisy village, right? Little bit away from the river where lived crocodiles. With her ebony hair, so she has black color hair. Ebony, this is the description of the child Sibia, right? She has black hair and great eyes. Her eyes are uh, lustrous, right, and very piercing eyes. And her skin of oiled brown cream. And her skin is brownish in color, but I seem that she is oil bodied, right? She was a happy, immature child woman. So she is a happy child who is living in this village, right? She is immature because she is just 12 years old girl, right? Child woman, about 12 years old. So she is just going to be 12 years old, or about 12 years old. So she is a mere child, not even a teenage, right? Barefoot, and she is without slippers, without shoes, without sandals, of course, and often goozy cold on a winter morning, and born to toil. Now you see, and often goozy cold. That means, and she is seen the same in all seasons, even in the winter months, right? Where it is goozy cold. Goozy cold means very cold, extremely cold, where you have goosebumps. So it's called goozy cold. On a winter morning, even in the winter time, she is without slippers, without sandals, right, and born to toil. But however, she hasn't stopped her hard work. Toil means hard work. She is a very laborious child. She is a very hard working girl, though 12 years old, right, but a very, very duteous child, very, very hard working child, right? She does a lot of work. In her, in all her life, she had never owned anything but a rag. So look at here, 12 years old girl, what she can do, right? So in her all her life so far, she had never owned anything but a rag. Rag means the torn cloth, what she was wearing. She had never owned even one anna, so she was penniless. She had not even owned herself one anna. Anna is 1/16th of a rupee, right? Used in the old days, the traditional times, right? Not a pice, not a pie, even to buy, say, a handful of blown glass bits from that still in the bazaar, where they were piled like stars, or one of the thin glass bangles that the man kept on a stick, and you could choose which color he would have. So see, so what is the wish of this little child girl named Sylvia, right? She did not have money with her, right? And she wanted to have uh, the glass beads, right, to decorate herself, used in her ornament, right? And whenever she went to the bazaar, she would see the vendors selling the different colorful, right, bangles, which she used to look at them and then uh, be desirous to buy any such uh, bangles for her life, right? So she knew what finery was though. So she knew what a fine work is, but she can't afford to buy, right? She had no money to buy. So her dreams, her desires remain, right, a desire only, right? She had been with her parents and brothers all through the jungle to the little town at the railhead where there was this bazaar. So she used to go to the bazaar, right, which was just near to the railhead, right? So she used to go with her parents, she used to go with her brothers, right, via the jungle, right, to the town, to the small town that was just near to the railgate, right, or the railhead, where there was the small bazaar. Okay, and she had walked through all the mining people, and she had walked through all the mining people means those people who are moving from place to place. They don't have a fixed place to live in, right? So they shift uh, their settlement time to time, right? And the dogs and monkeys full of fleas, right? And she walked through all the, right, moving people, and the dogs along with the dogs, right, and the monkeys full of fleas, and the monkeys that were full of fleas means insects, right, the idling, gossiping, bargaining humanity, spitting Beetlejuice. And she used to walk along with such people who are older in the age, and they have the habit of chewing the beetle nut, and spitting the juice, right? Heard the bell of a sacred bull clonking, and she often used to hear the bull, right, that were tighten uh, um, the bell around the neck, right? And when the bull or bulls do walk, right, they produce the clanking sound, right? As he lumped means as the very bull walked along through the dust and hubbub, to the dust and the noise. Hubbub means the noise, the confused noise, right? So such is the atmosphere of the village and the village living people. How do they adjust themselves in the very noisy surrounding, right? She had paused amazed, and when she used to walk in the bazaar, suddenly she used to give a pause, she used to stop, right? And she used to become very surprised. Amazed means surprise, looking at something before the sweetmeat stall. So what she has seen the sweetmeat. Sweetmeat is the sweetmeat stall is the stall where the sweets are sold. It's a confectionery. To gaze at the bread and honey confections, and they look very sweet, right? They smell very sweet, right? A buzz with dust, but there is a sound of bees humming around these sweets because they are sweet, right? And flies and the house flies hovering around those sweets, right? She used to give a break to her walk and look at these sweets, right? And perhaps she is also wanting to have purchase those sweets, but she has no money to buy them. They smell wonderful above the smells of trains and humanity and cheap cigarettes. So surrounding around her, There are the people who are smoking the cigars or the cigarettes. There are the drains, right, in which run the dirty, uh, right, uh, water, right, where the foul stink comes. But these all things are here kept aside by the smell of these, right, sweetmeats, right. At home, she sometimes tasted wild honey. So at home, right, she tasted the wild honey. Perhaps her father used to bring from the forest, right, which is very sweet. Or crunch the syrup, or she used to bite. Crunch means to bite the syrup out of a stalk of sugarcane. So sometimes her father used to bring sugarcane. Right, she used to bite this juicy sugarcane and eat, right. But these sweets were green and magenta, but these sweets are green, right, and magenta means they are reddish purple. Look at the colors of these sweets that are at display in this sweetmeat stall, right. So they look very attractive, they look very tasty. And you saw, right, Sibia was standing there looking at these sweetmeats, and then perhaps water in her mouth, right. She intended to buy and eat, but right, she is a helpless child because she had no money to buy these sweets. Then see, then there was the cloth stall, and after the sweet meat stall comes the cloth stall. She is now walked ahead, stocked with great rolls of new cotton cloth, and she sees the cloth, right, rolled in the stick and kept at display, right, stamped at the edge where the maker's sign of a tiger's head, and there at the end, one side of it, where the cloth is rolled, there is uh, the you can say the maker's sign of a tiger's head. Perhaps this is the logo of the company which has made this cloth, right. She sees it, and it's smelling so wonderful of its dressing. And you know that the new clothes do smell, right. Some like the smell, some don't, right. And Sylvia, the girl who stood and watched this cloths, right, she also felt so wonderful to look at those, right. And you know what she was wearing? She was wearing the rag cloths, right. So straight from the mills, front of the mills, that Sibia could have stood by it all day, right. Now if Sibia wanted to stand and look at these cloths, she perhaps would spend the whole day watching this, right. So what does it mean? It means that Sibia is wishing to buy, right, any such clothes for herself, right. But the problem with her is she has no money, right. Even the parents could not afford to buy a new set of clothes, okay, for her, right. So her dream remains a dream, her desire remains a dream, right. Her desire remains a desire, right. So she just keeps on watching this, right. But there were other wonders to see. So apart from these things, there were other wonderful things to look at. Satin sewn with real silver thread. She comes to see the another fabric material, that is satin, right, which is sewn with real silver thread, where the silver threading is done. Tin trays from Birmingham, and some of the cloths have been brought from abroad, right, which are a display now, and a sari which had got chips of looking glass embroidered into the border, and some beautiful saris are hung there, in which there are the glass chips being embroidered, right, in the border of the sari, right. It looks very costly, very expensive. She joined the crowd on a Kashmiri traveling merchant on his way to the bungalows, and later she joined, right, the crowd that followed the Kashmiri, right, traveling merchant, a businessman, right, who came from Kashmir, perhaps bringing the products of Kashmir like Kashmiri shawl and all, right, on his way to the bungalows. Bungalows, the house. He was swaying dawn-colored silks that poured like cream, and he had got a little locked chest with turquoises and opals in it, right. So they were not just the okay, fabrics what are used in these dresses. The very you can say the dresses are also, right, uh, inlaid with the different precious stones like turquoises and opals. They are the stones, precious stones used in these dress materials, right, which gives an elegant look, a beautiful look, At the same time, it has its own value. It is very costly, very expensive. Best of all, a box switch. When you press it, a bell tinkled and a yellow woolen chicken jumped out, right? And the best of all, what did she see was a box, right? Which you pressed it. When you press a button on it, a bell tinkled, right? There's a bell sound, right? And a yellow woolen, right, chicken jumped out of it. So it looks very beautiful. And she's just a 12-year-old girl. She's a child, and every child is very fond of playful materials, right? So she also caught sight of this beautiful, attractive looking wooden box, right? And she kept on looking at it. But here again, a desire in Sibia remained a desire, right? Because she had no money to buy this, right? Neither her parents could afford to buy, nor she has money to buy them, right? There was no end to the wonders of the world. So she kept on looking at the different things in this bazaar, right? And all these things looked very wonderful. All these things looked very amazing, very beautiful, right? But they were just to see, right? Not to own, not to buy, because she came from a very poor family, right? But Sylvia, you see, in all her life from birth to death was marked for work. But look at here how Sylvia was, right? Sylvia has already told to us that she is a very hardworking girl. She is very toilsome, right? So as if she's born to work, right? And keep on working, right? Since you could toddle, so since you could walk, toddle means the first steps of walking, right? She had husk corn, so she was helping her parents of husking the corn. That means separating the calf of the corn, right? The dry covering of this corn. She used to do it, and gather the sticks. She used to go to the right wood and then gather the sticks for fire and put dung to dry. And she used to make the dung, right, into the ball like or the uh, roundish plate like, and she used to right, dry it in the sun to make it fire, right, and cooked and weeded. And she even used to cook, right? A 12-year-old girl, she even used to cook, and she used to even weed the unwanted grasses growing in the vegetable garden, and carried and fetch water. So she used to carry the pitcher, right, with her, go to the river bank and fetch water, bring water, right, and cut grass for fodder. And not less, she also used to accompany her mother and other women in the village and go to uh, the, the hillside, and thereafter cut the grass for fodder. Fodder means animals, the domesticated animals. She used to bring grass to feed her animals. Look at the varieties of work she used to do right from her time when she has learned to walk. Since then, she is a very, very busy child at home. She does all the work, right? So she is a very, very hard-working girl, right? She was going with her mother and some other women now to get pepper grass from the cliffs above the river. Now, one day what happened? She went as usual along with her mother, right? Where? And there were some other women of the village. They all went in a group and they went to get the pepper grass, right? And from where? From the cliffs above the river. Cliffs, the hillside, right? That is across the river. You have to cross the river and then climb on the hilltop to get this pepper grass, because the pepper grass grow there, right? When you had enough of it, so when you have cut and accumulated enough of it, you could take it down by bullock cart to the railhead and sell it to the agent who would arrange for its dispatch to the paper mills, right? So they are bundled, right? Thereafter carried at the back, brought home. Thereafter the load is then put into the bullock cart, and the bullock cart is taken to the railroad or railhead, where there is an agent who would buy this grass, and thereafter he will dispatch to the paper mill, right? Right, where they are made into papers. Okay, the women often toil all day. So the women who go to cut paper grass, they do hard work. They toil all day from morning till the sunset. The evening time, they are seen busy with this work, right? Cutting the paper grass, bundling them, right, and then bringing these bundles right back home, and again loading into bullock cart, again taking it to the rail gate or to the railhead where the agent is waiting, right, at this work. And the agent sat on silk cushions, smoking a hookah. But look at the uh, life of the agent. How luxurious life, right? These agents do live, right? They would be seated there, right, on silk cushions, resting, right, themselves, and thereafter smoking the hookahs, right? That means they live a life of luxury, right? And they purchase the paper grass at mere cost, right, from the village women, right, and they sell it to the paper mill at a higher cost. This is their profit, and it's a heavy profit they are earning, so they are living a life of luxury, right. Such thoughts did not trouble Sibia. However, as she skipped along with her sickle and homemade hay fork beside her mother. So one day, right, a team of women went to the cliff on the other side of the river to get the pepper grass, right? Such thought did not trouble Sibia. So Sibia was not troubled to accompany her mother and the other women because she's used to, right, doing such hard work. She does, right? She goes even. However, as she skipped along with the sickle, so she carried a sickle in her hand, right, and homemade hay fork, right? Hay fork is a farm tool, right, where there is um, uh, the the teeth of this fork and used to collect the hay. That's why it's called hay fork, right? So beside her mother, so she went with her mother while going. You could skip on the way out, but not on the way back when you have ached with tiredness and there was a great load to carry. So when you go in a group, right? So you could skip on the way out. So while going, right, you can even skip the team, right, and then you go all by your own. But while coming back from there, after you have cut the paper grass and bundled them and carried them back, you have to come together because you are carrying the load, and then there is tiredness in you, right? It's in the late evening that you return, right? So you need to assist one another if something goes wrong. That's why while coming back, right, you come together, right? But when going, you can go all by yourself, right, because there's no load uh, that you are carrying. So you just need to reach there. So when you have reached there, then you do your work, and while coming back, while returning, right, then you need to come together, right, because you need each other's help to carry the load, the heavy load that you carry at your back. Some of the women were wearing necklaces made out of lal beads. Now you see, so some women, the traditional women, the village women, they are in the habit of wearing the traditional system, like wearing the necklaces, right, which is made of lal beads. That means they are made of those beads which are red in color, lal, right? They are red in color, right? They are obtained from the seeds in the forest, which is collected, right, and then with the thread and needle, they are shivered into a necklace like, right, and that is how the traditional people wear it. Okay, that is their custom. So the shiny scarlet seeds. So what these lal beads, they are the shiny scarlet seeds. Scarlet means deep red color seeds obtained from some fruits, right? Black one end, okay, on one side it is blackened, that grew everywhere in the jungle. So these kind of seeds are grown everywhere in the jungle, which these people do collect, right, and perhaps they are dried, right. After that, okay, they are used to make necklace with help of thread and, right, needle, right. It was best to have new necklaces each year instead of last year's threaded ones. So look at their practice. Every year, these women change their necklace, since they are the seeds made, right, beads, right, necklace, right, and in a year the redness in these seeds fade away, right, and they change a new one, right. So see, that is their practice. They do it. And Sibia was making one too. And Sibia was also making such necklace. Perhaps he was waiting to accumulate these scarlet seeds, right? So whenever she used to get, she used to bring it home, right? and preserve it. And when it has been many, then she will sew it into necklace and wear it, right? So she was also trying to make a necklace for herself. How nice it was going to be to hear that rattling swish round her neck. Rattling means there is a sound, rapid sound produced when you walk. So when these girls to walk, right, wearing this necklace, there is a rattling sound produced, right, and this sound is very much pleasing to hear. Perhaps these women like not only the color, right? They also like the sound of these seeds, right? When they are collided to one another as they walk or run, right? It produces sound. As she frosts along, right? Frost along means as she grew up, right? She is growing up. She is a small girl of 12. She is growing up yet with lots of necklaces. Now she'll have to wear lot of necklaces because every year they are changing it, right? So she's just a mere child of 12 years. So she will wear so many necklaces like that. But each seed, hard as a stone, had to be drilled with a red hot needle, right? How these scarlet seeds are made into the necklace. Look at here, right? The seeds are brought, they're dried, they're hardened it, right? Just like stone, right? Thereafter, it becomes very tough for the simple needle to pierce. So what do? They red hot the needle. That means they put the needle into the fire, the tip of it, the point of it, and make it red hot, and then they pierce it, the hole into this seed, right? The bead-like seed, right? And the family needle was snapped. But look at the problem with Sibia. Why she was not able to make a necklace for herself, right? The needle in the family, okay, had got broken. Snap means broken, right? And there was no other needle, and they were so poor to afford the next needle for them. Perhaps they are in a wait. So she must wait till they could buy another. So she's waiting when the parents will buy another needle for the use, and she can use it to make necklace for herself, right? Oh, for strings and strings of glass and beads, anklets, earrings, nose rings, bangles, all the gorgeous dazzle of the bazaar, all her little golden body decorated, right? So this is a dream of every child, every girl child, right? That she would like to adorn herself with all decorations, like the beads, there are anklets, right? Earrings, nose rings, bangles, right? And it looks so beautiful, right, in the decoration, right? And there are so many such things in the bazaar which are sold, right? And when a girl child would see this, right, she would want to have these things for herself because she wants to decorate herself wearing all these decorative materials, right? So she is waiting perhaps for a needle which is to be bought and brought at home, and thereafter Sylvia could help herself making those collected scarlet, right, seeds which are bead-like, right, into the necklace, right? Now, is it possible? If possible, when this is going to be, right? So perhaps here Sylvia will have to wait, right? Now, what more happens right now in her life, right? So we'll keep it up to here, and the remaining portion of the story we'll again keep it for the next time, right? So this is the last story that we are doing it. So I hope you understood till what is done, right? So keep revising at home, and also work with your exercises that are given, right, in your exercise notes, and do revisions at all times, right? So with the hope of you all staying fine and safe, I do complete, right, today's class up to you. Thank you very much.